and welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'm going to be showing you how I make biryani. This is obviously just a version of biryani. I know there's loads of different types from many different regions, but this is just how I make it. For my kind of version, it's going to be really nice and simple. I say nice and simple, we're going to be using a lot of lovely spices. They're spices, right? They're not herbs, they're spices. Don't know why I hesitated there. Anyway, and I'm just going to be doing some basic veggies, onion, potato, carrots and peas, and it's going to be great. Normally with like the Arab biryanis, they normally add nuts and sometimes sultanas as well. So I'm going to toast some almonds, stick them on there, but I'm not going to be adding sultanas, even though Mom's quite upset about it, because for me that's just a no. But if you like sultanas with savoury food, go ahead and try it. You might like it, you never know. Anyway, I'm blabbering on too much as normal. So I'm just going to start off by chopping up the carrots and potatoes first, and then I'm gonna put some seasonings on them, stick them in the oven. You can also fry them. I feel like that's normally what people do with the vegetables, just fry them first, but I'm just gonna bake them, try and make it just a little bit lighter. So yeah, we'll get started. So I'm just gonna preheat my oven to about 220 degrees. Yeah, and then I'll just peel and finely dice my potatoes and carrots, and I'll show you how they're looking. So I just chopped the potatoes and carrots into those little chunks, as you saw, and obviously you want to try and get them roughly the same size so that they take the same amount of time to cook. And I'm just gonna season with a little bit of salt, and I'm also gonna add some of this biryani seasoning, which if you watched my burek recipe, you would have seen me use before, but it's basically a blend of a bunch of spices, which if you're not familiar with, you can find it at pretty much all like Arab and Desi Asian grocery shops. It smells so good. So I'm just gonna add in probably about half a tablespoon to a tablespoon of this. We'll call it a tablespoon. That much seems pretty good. And then I'm just gonna add some oil as well. You could use olive oil, sunflower oil, whatever. I'm just gonna use some rapeseed oil just since we've got it. Probably about 2 tablespoons or so of that, and I'm just going to mix that up. Okay, and I'm just going to stick that onto a lined baking tray. So I'm just going to stick that in the oven, like I said, at 220 degrees, and I'll check on them in 15 minutes and give them a little flip and see how they're looking. Okay, so I'm just going to cook up my rice now. I'm using 2 cups of rice for the amount of vegetables. As always, I'm going to have the whole written recipe in the description. But yeah, I've just given my rice a wash, just rinsed it a few times until the water was pretty much clear. And I'm just going to add in a whole bunch of those spices that I was talking about. And I'm also going to like kind of lightly toast the rice with the spices. Just dry, it's still wet from the water, but I'm not going to add any oil or anything. So I'm just putting it on a high heat. So I'm just going to add some salt. Okay, and I'm just going to add in some more of that biryani seasoning. Not too much, because obviously I'm adding it to the vegetables as well, so I don't want it to be too overpowering. And then I'm also going to do just a little bit of black pepper. There is black pepper in the biryani mix already, so I just wanted a little bit so it's not too spicy. And then I'm going to add 2 cloves. Lovely little things. With these like whole spices that I'm adding in, obviously at the end I want to make sure to take them out, because you don't want to bite into one of those cloves, for example. It's not very pleasant, but it's going to add some great flavour just for the cooking. And I'm also going to add 2 of these. These are allspice, right? Let me come have a wee look. There they are. And then I'm also going to do 2 cardamom pods. Oh, I love cardamom. Obviously, as I like to say in pretty much every video, just play about with it. Obviously, go with whatever seasonings and flavors that you like. But all of these, obviously, I just think, in my opinion, add some great flavor. I'm gonna add 2 bay leaves. This is like 3 walking ones. And finally, I'm just adding a smallish piece of a cinnamon stick. I'm just going to toast the rice a little bit with those spices. It's just been about literally just a minute that I've been toasting them, but I'm just going to add in my water now. So the way I like to measure the water with the rice is just basically by sticking my finger in, and it's basically just less than an inch, or this part of your finger, just less than that. So just less than an inch, or you know, the tip of your finger, I find to be pretty much the perfect amount. I know we all have different sizes, but you know what I mean, I just find that to be a good way to measure it. And obviously I'm using quite a large pot here, even though it's not loads of rice, just because obviously I'm going to be mixing in the vegetables all together. I keep saying that word obviously, not everything is obvious, I need to stop saying it. Anyway, so that's why I'm doing that, just to explain. So I'm going to bring that, obviously I just said that again. I've just added cold water, and I'm going to bring that to a boil and then reduce it to a simmer once it comes to a boil. Okay, so that's just come to a boil, so I'm going to reduce that to a simmer or number 2, and I'm going to loosely cover it and just let the rice cook while I get everything else ready. My potatoes and carrots have been in the oven for just about 15 minutes, so I'm going to take them out now. They're pretty much done, but I'm just going to add them in for maybe just like 5 minutes once I've flipped them around a little bit. Okay, so I've got about 60 grams of almonds here. I'm just gonna add this hot water that I've just boiled, and then we'll just let that sit on the side for a while, basically, just until everything else is ready, and then I guess it will be easy to remove the skins. Okay, so now I've just actually chopped my onion, just kind of finely chopped it, not super fine, but this finely. So I'm just gonna heat up some oil in my pan here, probably around 2 tablespoons or so. So I've just reduced the heat on there to medium high, or number 4. So I'm just going to add my onions. So I've been sauteing my onions for just about 3 to 4 minutes, and obviously they're starting to brown a little bit now. So I'm just going to add in my peas. Okay, so I'm just going to season the peas and onions. I'm just going to add some salt, and again just the final dose of this biryani seasoning, probably about a tablespoon or so. And just give that a mix. Okay, final little touch I'm going to do is add in this ground non basra, which if you watched my spinach stew video, I talked a little bit about that. I was going to call it a spice or a herb, but actually it's just dried limes. So this is basically just ground dried lime, and I'm just going to add in just a little bit of this, probably about a teaspoon or 2 teaspoons. How much is good? And I don't want to cook that for too long, otherwise it gets a little bit bitter. So I'm just going to mix that in, make sure everything is coated. And that's it. I'm just going to take that off the heat. I know, the smells are lovely in here just now. And that's all of my veggies prepped. My rice has been cooking for just about 20 minutes or so, so I'm actually just going to give it a wee stir. I'm just going to give that a wee gentle mix. Now that my rice is cooked, I'm just turning off the heat, and I'm just going to stick that lid back on just kind of loosely. And yeah, so that's my rice done, my veggies prepped, and I've just got the final little touches to add to it, and we'll be done. So we're almost there. I'm just gonna first peel these almonds, which, as I showed you before, we're just soaking in some hot water. So that's cool enough now. So I'm just gonna, I got the gist, don't worry. So I'll literally just like squeeze them out, and the skin comes off very easily. So I don't know why I didn't do this before. I'm actually just gonna mix all of my veggies in with my rice. You could at this point pick out all of the little spices that you added in before, but we're just gonna leave them in for now. We'll pick them out later just to let the flavour kind of infuse a little bit more. I don't know if that makes sense, to be honest, but I'm just going with it. So I'm adding in my peas and onions, and also gonna add in my potatoes and carrots from before. Okay, and I'm just gonna kind of gently mix those in with the rice. So I'm actually just going to use that same pan that I used for the onions and peas to cook this vermicelli noodles that I'm going to add in with the rice and the veggies. I'm just going to add in just a wee bit of oil, probably about a teaspoon or two. And basically I'm just going to toast the vermicelli, and once it starts to brown a little bit, I'm just going to add water bit by bit so that it can cook nicely. And obviously the nice thing about using the same pan that I used before is that it's going to soak up all that flavour. Now that it's starting to brown a little bit, hopefully the light is okay and you can see that, I'm just going to add in some water. This is still hot water that I used before. Okay. And basically I'm not going to add in all of the water at once, I'm just going to add it bit by bit and let the vermicelli cook that way. That's starting to soften nicely now and look like noodles. Basically I'm just going to add a final little splash, and I'm turning off that heat. Sorry. Okay, so that's the vermicelli. I'm just going to add that in with the rice and the veggies. Okay, so my almost final step is that I'm just going to kind of roughly chop, or not chop, but just kind of half these almonds, and then I'm going to toast them up. So I've just heated up my pan a little bit, and I'm just going to add in my halved almonds here. I'm just kind of obviously toasting them dry, like I didn't add any oil or anything, but you could add a bit of oil if you would like to. I've just been toasting my almonds for just about 5 minutes or so, and now that they're starting to brown a little bit, as you can hopefully see that, they kind of look like garlic in the camera. Anyway, I'm just going to turn that heat off, and that's it. Okay, so I've just served up the biryani onto this lovely little plate, and I just topped it with some crispy onions that my mum just cooked up. I would highly recommend doing that because it's really good. And then I just put those almonds on top as well, and of course if you wanted to add sultanas, like I said before, you could add them on top as well. They would look really nice, but like I said, I can't do it with the sultanas, although my mum did make some for herself. I'll show you how they look. Lovely. And as I was serving it up, that was when I just kind of took out those large spices like the cinnamon stick and the bay leaves and stuff like that. And that's it. It smells great, very fragrant, lovely rice recipe. I would highly recommend this one. And I'm going to serve it along with some coconut yogurt. Obviously you can use whatever yogurt you like, but yogurt goes great with this one. And that's it. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye.